Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. What happens to XRP if banks disappear? It's a reasonable question. I mean, XRP, its primary use case at the time I'm recording this in July of 2021, primary use case is as a bridge currency. So you can convert from one fiat currency to another, move money anywhere you want, all over the damn planet, frankly. So is XRP going to go away if banks go away? Because there are all sorts of Bitcoiners out there. They've been telling me, the Bitcoin maxis, there aren't going to be banks anymore. There isn't going to be the United States dollar or stuff like that, which is not what I buy. I don't buy into that nonsense at all. But I'll tell you what, even if they were right about that, I'll say that even at the outset here, as long as XRP is useful for people for something, if there's one use case, I don't believe it's ever going away personally. So I want to talk about this topic, and the reason is there was this article from you today titled Ripple Brings Clarity. David Gokhshtein posted a tweet about the crypto industry, and really has to do with, first of all, and I'll say this too, XRP ultimately, yes, getting back to its all-time high, and people, despite their bias against Ripple and against XRP, some of the Bitcoin maxi troll types, they're going to have to recognize at some point this is not something that is going away. Also, there was this headline from you today. Former Ripple partner MoneyGram in talks to be purchased by a private equity firm called Advent. And this is interesting because you might kind of wonder, because look, if this happens, you're talking about MoneyGram, which is a publicly traded company. You're talking about them becoming a private company. And also, you might wonder if that happens, what are the implications for getting back together with Ripple? Because different people would be in charge. So anyway, plenty to talk about, but I want to be clear at the outset, I don't have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos as a super duper fun hobby about Ripple and XRP and Bitcoin maxi trolls.
Bitcoin, Ripple, scam coins, yeah, cottage cheese.
Go away, Mr. Bitcoin maxi troll. Ain't nobody got no damn time for your nonsense. And so into this piece now. PAC Protocol CEO David Gokhshtein shared a post about Ripple on his official Twitter page. Thus, Gokhshtein tweeted that Ripple will bring clarity to the crypto industry. His given message resonated with a wide range of followers, and some of them expressed hope for it. Well, yeah, not surprisingly, the XRP community is absolutely gigantic, and it's the best community in all of crypto, period. And then, so there's the tweet on the screen, Ripple will bring clarity to the crypto industry. But why Ripple? Well, the entrepreneur himself has never concealed his sympathy for Ripple and is among those who actively support the introduction of cryptocurrencies into the financial sphere. Gokhshtein has also repeatedly stated that XRP remains on the list of cryptocurrency projects he considers most promising. And let me ask you, do you ever notice the people that don't seem completely kooky, like bat S-word crazy out of their mind? Do you ever notice, like, the people that are reputable and they seem to be established in life, that are involved in crypto, they're typically a pro XRP, not exclusively, of course, because most XRP holders, the vast majority of them, not maximalist. I don't like maximalism for any coin. But you ever notice that whether it's somebody in the world of finance, he runs his own media firm, Gokhshtein Media, and he's also the CEO of, again, PAC Protocol here. Do you ever notice the people that don't have this down with banks and down with government childish mentality, that they're actually in favor of Ripple and in favor of XRP? Because it was very noticeable to me in the early days when I jumped into crypto November 2017. I was like, who are all of these bat S-word crazy? And by the way, you're welcome for me censoring myself. I know some of you got some children's in the background, but I noticed immediately, November 2017, I jumped into crypto. I'm like, who are these bat S-word crazy people saying all this nonsense about down with banks, this or that, Ripple's the enemy, helping the legacy financial system, when really banks are just, most of them are just small businesses that are helping their local communities. There are some large banks, yes, and some of them are bad, but you can find bad actors in any space. It's not like this is unique to the banking sector. You can find bad actors in any industry. But yeah, there are all sorts of small businesses too that are contributing to their communities in meaningful ways and putting people to work. Families, they like people earn their incomes from this and feed their children from this. Like, the whole idea of down with banks, down with the government, just doesn't resonate with me, and I can't relate to people for which that does resonate. It just doesn't make sense. Why do you actively want these people's livelihood to be destroyed? It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, David Gokhstein's observation is based on the position of Ripple's customer network, which consists mostly of central and commercial banks. Remittance firms, I'd say that. But here's a tweet, and this one was the more interesting one to me. This is from David. Ripple has done everything possible to be ahead of the curve when it comes to integrating with the banking system. Other projects will have to play catch up because they were too busy believing that the banks would disappear. XRP breaking all-time high isn't if, it's more like when. Golf clack, Mr. Golf. Did I say clack? Golf clap. That's what that is. Yeah, firmly agree with that. And I've been thinking along those lines for some time now, many years actually. But yeah, because think about this. Like, you understand the world that the Bitcoin maxi troll envisions here. There is no fiat currency, and Bitcoin is used for everything. Everything where if you're purchasing something, it's with Bitcoin. Never mind you that layer 1 doesn't work and layer 2 is a centralized mess that at least today doesn't work. Maybe it actually gets worked out in the future, but it's still centralized if you're talking about Lightning Network. Which seems so antithetical to the core mission of Bitcoin, decentralized system, peer-to-peer cash system, but that is their idea, that you don't need banks because people custody their own money, right? And you don't need these these fiat currencies. Well, I got news for you. Not everybody wants to custody their own money. They want somebody else to be responsible. I mean, I custody my crypto, right? I choose to do that. But the 24-word code, I'm telling you, people like the idea of having a bank account that's FDIC insured. In the United States, that's the case. Each account is insured. My understanding, I believe the number is by $250,000. And so if something horrible happens to the bank, you're actually backed. You're going to be okay. But with crypto, if you're taking care of it yourself, there is no backing, and it's going to be too intimidating for some people. There's never going to be a world where everyone doesn't wants to take on that responsibility. And then where do you put the code? Do you keep it in your house? What if you get robbed? Or do you put it in a bank? Oh wait, I thought banks weren't going to exist though, so no safety deposit boxes? Where do you put it? Do you just memorize it and hope that you don't forget something? These are not options that everybody is willing to take on here, right? It's easy to see why this can be problematic, right? And then on top of that, this is why it's just another reason that this whole approach the Bitcoin maxi trolls out there have is so childish, is that governments around the world, they value, by and large, their financial sovereignty, right? Do you think that governments in general, especially in first world countries, want to give up the power they have, especially when it comes to the printing press, which I don't like. And mind you, I am not a fan of the way that fiat currencies like the United States dollar are being treated. It's the USD, it's being debased. It's rather disgusting. I've bitched up a storm about that on this channel, but that is happening. I'm just acknowledging that the governments aren't going to want to give that up. You're not going to have a world where there are no governments that have their own money. It's just not going to happen. And even if they could, they just find a way, because they still are going to insist they have theirs too. So even in a world where it was Bitcoin, don't you think that they just have onerous tax requirements or something to balance it out? They do something, right? Because when you're talking about printing money, that is tantamount to a tax as far as I'm concerned, because it takes away purchasing power from people that are holding cash. It just is. That is the case here. So I don't see these things happening. I think you're going to have a world where there will be a number of fiat currencies. I could see a world way in the future, I don't know how far into the future, where cryptocurrencies rather are used in place of money. I think that could happen organically, especially where there's the most friction. Maybe third world countries where you have just runaway inflation, hyperinflation, things like that. Who knows? You could start to see that, but even then, it's still tough today with the volatility that we have, and volatility will be diminished as more money flows in, of course. And I've talked about that before too, but. Until that happens, no, I think people are happy using their fiat currency, me included. If I were forced to use a cryptocurrency to pay for my daily stuff, I'd be annoyed by that. You'd be adding friction to my life. I just want to hold my crypto and as a speculative bet. That's why I'm here, to be honest. And I think that's perfectly fine. We're still early adopters. We're still throwing money in. We're still bringing attention to all of this, and there still is utility. The speculators are useful too, of course. It's good. It's good that we're all here, I believe personally. I'm not pretending there's no risk associated with it, but I'm happy that I'm here at least. That's for damn sure. But look, I'm just telling you, like, even if banks went away, it doesn't mean that XRP wouldn't be adopted, but I don't think banks are going to go away. I think that you're going to see a continued evolution where even if payments, and this is a world in the future, if this happens and in some sort of meaningful way, cryptocurrency is used for payments, everyday, day-to-day purchases instead of fiat currency, even if that happens, you're just talking about a shift. Industries shift always, right? It's always, even if slowly, we're getting into a new norm. Sometimes it's quickly, sometimes it's slower, but it happens. And so, even if banks have to shift away from the model that as it exists today, maybe they're going to switch more heavily into cryptocurrency custody. And do you think loans are going to go away? Do you think every loan on the planet is just going to become decentralized? I'm willing to listen to your case on that. I don't suppose that will happen, but maybe. I'm kind of skeptical, though, because there needs to be a vetting process with qualified people. And if you're just, maybe I'd be willing to hear the case of it. If you think that some sort of decentralized network for that, by the way, if you're talking decentralized, that means anyone can participate. So if it's decentralized, there's no central point of failure. It's just like, the people are going to lend money. Are they? I don't know. Then again, maybe if you'd asked me 20 years ago if Kickstarter would work, maybe I would have said no. So that's why I said I'm willing to hear it out here. But even outside of that, like banks, yes, of course, just like every industry, you're going to have to adapt right here. But David's nailing it. Other projects will have to play catch up. That's what he stated, because they were too busy believing that the banks would disappear. And here, Ripple, being the adult in the room, basically, is servicing banks and the legacy financial system and making things better, including for the poor, some of the poorest people on the entire planet, sending remittances back to their home countries from wherever they have moved abroad. This is a force for good, obviously. And so that's why it also never made sense to me, all the Bitcoin maxi trolls out there pretending like this is some sort of bad, evil thing, propping up the evil legacy system. I'm just like, you don't even know what you're talking about. That's why I started off an earlier portion of this video. I was talking about what are banks? They're just businesses. They're people. Businesses are people, right? Unless you think, what is a business? The mortar, that makes up a building or this or that. Most importantly, it's the people that make the business here. And so if they're the enemy, then you better rethink what the hell's up in your brain, because that just doesn't sound right to me. And so then into this from you today. Former Ripple partner MoneyGram in talks to be purchased by private equity firm Advent. According to Street Insider, former major Ripple partner MoneyGram could be purchased by private equity firm Advent. MoneyGram used to be a major partner of the Ripple blockchain decacorn. However, on March 9th, the company officially terminated its partnership with MoneyGram. Yeah, and to be clear, I assume most of you are aware at this point, but MoneyGram and Ripple decided to part ways. Nothing bad happened between the two of them. It was just with the SEC going after Ripple. There wasn't a whole lot they could do, and so they vowed to revisit this in the future once there was more clarity surrounding what's happening with XRP. And so now you might be sitting and wondering, okay, well, MoneyGram, publicly traded company, what happens if they actually get purchased? What if this actually happens? Well, this is private equity. This firm, Advent. They're not publicly traded. MoneyGram would go private, and this is not unheard of. This actually happens. It happens somewhat frequently, actually. Even within the last, I don't know if it's been 2 or 3 years at this point. I can't remember, but even Staples, a very I think they're actually the largest office supply company on the planet. They were publicly traded for years and years and years and years, and they went private. Actually, it was a firm that bought them out too. And there are always reasons for all this. Obviously with a company like Staples, with the retail fronts and stuff like that, retail's dying when it comes to that type of stuff. And so that was not so profitable, but they ended up breaking up the retail and then the business to business side, because the business to business side is actually very profitable. But sorry, I don't want to get too far off into that type of stuff. I just find case studies like that to be kind of interesting. But yeah, so stuff like that does happen is the point, and then different people are in charge is the thing, though. So if different people are in charge, even if it's the same top brass, technically with MoneyGram, they're beholden to the company that buys them out, and so it's really those people that would that could prevent stuff like this from happening. So again, if it's truly beneficial for MoneyGram, maybe it would still happen anyway. But I'm just going to acknowledge that This is an unknown, and it's certainly another potential hurdle. And maybe you get lucky, though. Maybe these people that, if they actually do buy up MoneyGram, they're all on board for this, and they're forward-thinking. They understand the utility of crypto and XRP if they're actually going to sit down long enough to learn about it. But I don't know. It's just an extra layer that you got to go through now, an extra layer of bureaucracy. How unfortunate. But who knows? Maybe it will be fine. I want to jump the gun on this, but I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.